Memory decline is not inevitable. That is the most important thing to understand before this video goes any further. The research on cognitive aging has shifted dramatically in the last decade. What used to be described as the normal and unavoidable consequence of getting older is now understood to be strongly associated with specific, measurable, correctable nutritional deficiencies. Deficiencies that are extraordinarily common in people over 60. Deficiencies that most people have and do not know about. And deficiencies that six completely ordinary, affordable, everyday foods address directly. This is not about expensive supplements or complicated diets. Every one of the 6 foods in this video is available in any supermarket for a few pounds. Most of them are probably already in your kitchen. The question is whether you are eating enough of them at the right frequency to give your brain what it needs. Starting with the food that addresses the most important structural requirement of the aging brain. Oily fish, sardines, mackerel, salmon, herring. 2 portions per week is the quantity supported by current research. The brain is approximately 60% fat by dry weight, and the most critical fat it requires is DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, a long-chain omega-3 fatty acid found almost exclusively in oily fish and seafood. DHA is the primary structural fat in brain cell membranes. It is what keeps those membranes fluid and flexible enough to transmit signals efficiently. As DHA levels in the brain decline with age, and they do decline measurably and consistently, the speed and reliability of neural communication declines with them. A 2023 review published in Current Opinion in Lipidology, covering 3 new meta-analyses, confirmed that fish and omega-3 intake are associated with a meaningful reduction in the development of mild cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. A 2024 randomized trial found that high-dose DHA maintained neuronal integrity on brain imaging and slowed white matter deterioration in older adults at risk. Each additional 0.1 gram of DHA intake per day was associated with an 8 to 9.9% lower risk of cognitive decline in prospective studies covering thousands of participants. A tin of sardines contains approximately 1.5 grams of DHA and EPA combined. It costs under £1.50. 2 tins per week cover the research-supported intake. The omega-3 supplement industry sells the same compound in capsule form for 15 to 25 pounds per month. The tinned fish aisle has always been cheaper, and the evidence for whole fish is consistently stronger than for isolated supplements. The second food covers a deficiency that most people over 60 have and almost nobody talks about. Eggs, specifically egg yolks, because the white contains almost none of what matters here. Egg yolks are the single richest dietary source of choline, a nutrient classified as essential by the European Food Safety Authority, but absent from most multivitamins and largely ignored in mainstream nutritional guidance. Choline is the precursor to acetylcholine, the primary neurotransmitter involved in memory formation and recall. The brain's ability to produce acetylcholine declines with age because the enzyme that converts choline to acetylcholine becomes less efficient. This makes dietary choline increasingly important, precisely as it becomes harder to source. A 2023 randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial, published in Lipids in Health and Disease, tested egg yolk choline supplementation in adults aged 60 to 80 with mild memory decline. 3 months of dietary choline supplementation supported beneficial cognitive changes, including improved verbal memory and processing speed. A landmark 2024 study from the Rush Memory and Aging Project, one of the largest and longest-running dementia studies in the world, found that frequent egg consumption was associated with a significantly lower risk of Alzheimer's dementia, and that this association was partially explained by choline intake. The same study confirmed this finding against post-mortem brain tissue analysis, and participants who ate more eggs had measurably less Alzheimer's pathology in their brain tissue. 2 EGs provide 50 to 70% of daily choline requirements. 2 eggs per day, or at minimum 5 per week, is the quantity the research supports. They cost approximately 30 to 40 pence each. The cheapest and most bioavailable source of the neurotransmitter precursor your brain most needs after 60 is already in your fridge. The third food is the one most people eat occasionally without realizing they should be eating it every single day. Blueberries. Fresh or frozen, they retain their full anthocyanin content, and frozen berries cost significantly less than fresh. A 2023 systematic review and meta-analysis published in Current Nutrition Reports, covering 30 randomized controlled trials, found that dietary anthocyanins, the pigments responsible for blueberries' dark color, produced improvements across multiple cognitive domains, including short-term memory, verbal learning, working memory, executive function, and visual spatial function. The mechanism is specific and measurable. Anthocyanins cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in the hippocampus, the brain region most directly involved in memory formation and the region most affected in early Alzheimer's disease. A double-blind randomized controlled trial in healthy older adults aged 65 to 80, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that daily wild blueberry consumption for 12 weeks improved episodic memory and executive functioning compared to placebo. A separate trial detected significantly altered neuronal activation on functional magnetic resonance imaging in older adults with mild cognitive impairment after 16 weeks of blueberry supplementation. 1 cup of blueberries per day, approximately 150 grams, is the quantity studied in most clinical trials. Stirring frozen blueberries into porridge each morning is the simplest delivery method, and it costs under 50 pence per serving. The fourth food is one that most people in this country use occasionally, but not nearly enough of. Extra virgin olive oil, not regular olive oil, not light olive oil, not vegetable oil labeled as olive oil blend. Extra virgin olive oil specifically because the compound responsible for its cognitive protection is almost entirely absent from refined versions. Oleocanthal is that compound. You can identify its presence by the slight throat tingle that good extra virgin olive oil produces when swallowed. That sensation is oleocanthal activating the same pain receptors as ibuprofen, which gives you an immediate sense of why it matters for brain inflammation. Oleocanthal breaks down the aggregation of amyloid beta proteins, the same proteins that form the plaques characteristic of Alzheimer's disease, and promotes their clearance from the brain. A 2024 systematic review confirmed that extra virgin olive oil phenolic compounds, including oleocanthal, reduce the risk of developing mild cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's disease through multiple documented pathways. A large Italian study of adults over 65 found that high dietary intake of monounsaturated fatty acids from olive oil was associated with significantly lower rates of cognitive decline. 4 tablespoons per day used as the primary cooking fat and as a dressing is the quantity associated with cognitive protection in the Mediterranean diet studies. Drizzle it over vegetables. Use it instead of butter on bread. Cook eggs in it. The combination of eggs and extra virgin olive oil delivers 2 of the 6 foods at once. The 5th food is the cheapest on the entire list, and the one most likely already in your garden. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, cabbage, broccoli, watercress. Any dark leafy green consumed daily. The specific nutrients are folate and vitamin K. Folate is essential for managing homocysteine, an amino acid that accumulates in the blood when folate levels are insufficient. At elevated levels, homocysteine is one of the strongest documented risk factors for cognitive decline and dementia. High homocysteine is present in a significant proportion of people over 60, and it is almost entirely preventable through adequate folate intake from food. Vitamin K is equally important, and considerably less discussed. A study published in Neurology found that older adults with higher vitamin K intake showed significantly slower cognitive decline across a 7-year follow-up period. Leafy greens are the primary dietary source of vitamin K and folate at the same time. 1 large portion of dark leafy greens daily, cooked or raw, covers both requirements, at 0 ongoing cost for anyone growing their own or purchasing the cheapest vegetables in the supermarket. Dark chocolate, specifically dark chocolate with 70% cocoa content or higher, is the 6th food, and it is one that will make most people feel considerably better about their diet. Flavonols in cocoa increase cerebral blood flow, meaning more oxygenated blood reaches brain tissue. They do this by boosting nitric oxide production and promoting vascular dilation. A Cleveland Clinic review published in 2026 confirmed that flavonols in dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa content may help improve processing speed and verbal fluency in older adults. A separate study documented significant improvements in memory consolidation in participants who consumed high flavanol cocoa daily for 8 weeks compared to a placebo. This clinical evidence supports a real effect on processing speed and verbal tasks. 1 to 2 squares per day of dark chocolate with 70% cocoa content or higher is the quantity supported by research. It is not a large amount. It is enough to deliver meaningful flavanol content consistently. And it is the only item on this list that most people will actively look forward to eating. 6 everyday foods protect memory. Oily fish, twice a week, provides DHA and supports neural membrane integrity. Eggs, eaten daily, supply choline for acetylcholine production. Blueberries, every day, deliver anthocyanins that help protect the hippocampus. Extra virgin olive oil, used daily, contains oleocanthal, which aids amyloid clearance. Dark leafy greens, eaten daily, provide folate and vitamin K. Dark chocolate, daily, supplies flavanols that boost cerebral blood flow. None of these foods are expensive, and none require changing how you cook or what equipment you own. All 6 together cost less per week than most people spend on supplements that do not address these specific mechanisms. Memory decline is strongly associated with deficiencies in these compounds. Those deficiencies are common, and the foods that correct them are ordinary. The only thing separating where your brain is now from where it could be is whether these 6 foods are on your plate consistently.